Perfect. So Liz, once again, thank you so very much for being with us. It's very generous, and it makes it, you know, it's a gift actually that keeps on giving. It gets passed on and used again and again, and it becomes timeless in a way. And ladies and gentlemen, you may or may not have had the opportunity to have met Liz before. I'll give you a bit about her background. Liz Chamberlain lives in Perth, Western Australia, and has pursued her keen interest in healthy lifestyle, nutrition through clean, whole food choices, and supplementation for her family. She's a retired clinical pharmacist with a postgraduate diploma in community pharmacy and primary care. Across her career spanning 35 years, Liz gained experience in all areas of community and country pharmacy, working in 57 retail pharmacy localities. Liz supported and delivered mainstream medicine and complementary alternatives for her thousands of customers, from infants and pregnant mothers, students and teenagers through adolescence, first aid, acute care and chronic disease management, mental and cultural health, and quality of life options for the elderly and residential aged care. In 2001, Liz entered the private hospital arena, where she embarked on a 14-year registration pathway as a ward pharmacist and registrar supervisor and tutor. She was part of the multidisciplinary teams on the orthopedic, pediatric, gastroenterology wards, coordinated patient discharge, and follow-up for patients leaving renal and maternity wards, and closely supported family with loved ones in hospice. What a broad background. In 1996, soon after her son Declan was born, Liz began her very personal journey of self-education and research, delving deeply into the immune system, the gut-brain connection, and functional neurology. By November 1998, Liz discovered the properties of glyconutrients, the emerging field of glycomics, and signed up for the Proevity course of study into biomedical functions of glycoproteins, genetic expression, cell signaling, and the importance of the relative availability of carbohydrates. This passion for sharing knowledge was consolidated when she began attending conferences in Dallas, Texas, and met with Dr. Robert Murray, the editor-in-chief of Harper's Biochemistry textbook, a compulsory reference for all undergraduates studying in the field of medicine and allied health. Today, Liz joins us as we navigate new norms for living. We take stock of our global world, our social communities, our individual entities. Nutritional supplementation is no longer considered a luxury. It is necessary for those wanting a lifestyle of health, youth, and vitality. Our own wellness journey should be based on our need for optimal health in the face of today's stressed lifestyles, environmental toxicity, and chronic malnutrition. So today we're continuing from Liz's last generous presentation, and we've had submitted several frequently asked questions or personal questions from people. And I know, Liz, you're going to be tight for time, and I appreciate that. So we may go 5 or 10 minutes over everybody. So the first question is to really ground what's unique about Manitech, you know, the science, our quality assurance. Why aren't we just like any old other supplement company? Okay.
Thanks for that intro. And yes, I am actually privileged to have had such a broad and colourful sort of career spanning so many opportunities. And I think now when I look back, I realise how beneficial that was for my understanding about everything to do with nutrition, not only nutrition, but also obviously glyconutrition. So again, today I'll probably try and stick to what we're going to be discussing so that I don't want to miss anything. So I apologise if I do read quite a few things, but I want to make sure that everyone has the right references and the right information so that they can, you know, use this tool for everyone. So yeah, basically talking about why Manitech is so special. I'll go back basically to say that it's taken, you know, 20 years to produce articles that are published in standard medical journals that are regarding glycobiology in humans, also to do with molecular chemistry. And each of these are actually alluding to the power of nutrition and recovery from trauma and disease, even though these items and lines of journal entry were found in the veterinary and the dental field way before the last 20 years in regular medical journals. So both of these areas of science know more about the impact of nutrition than basically traditional medical fraternity. So I guess that's one of the reasons why people don't know what Mannatech is. They also don't know what glyconutrition is and what science is behind it. So what I wanted to do was just go through a few very key journals to explain why Mannatech has got the science behind it. So an entire edition of an Acta Anatomica in 1998 was dedicated to the expressions of research implicating the coding capacity of biological sugars. Although a rather difficult text to navigate for anyone, even if you are a scientist, the back cover of this edition displays noteworthy information. You know, with Google and everything nowadays, you can just simply type in search engines and you get up these documents and these manuscripts. So I encourage people to go back and do that for themselves as well. As illustrated, even the experts in the field of glycoscience admit that they underestimate the importance of the concept of sugar code. By 1999, knowledge about the sugar code began to challenge the already well-documented area of proteins and DNA, which we know as the gene code for human existence. It became evident from basic glycomolecular chemistry, which describes a hexagonal structure. The shape of a sugar molecule is six-sided, hexagonal, that the surface cells, that cell surface simple carbohydrates have unsurpassed coding capacity even greater than DNA molecules and amino acid sequences. We use 4 nucleotides only, but with the invention of what they're going to call the glycone, they actually tap into over 200 carbohydrate saccharides, 8 to 11 of which are human glycone for coding. So this knowledge allows validation on the concept that expression of DNA material can be turned on or turned off. And this describes why viruses need vaccinations to recognize antibodies and antigens that have been created, and also why there's a lot of research being done in genetic disorders. Just heading into the idea about where Manitech came from, it's the amazing story of Manopole. So the remarkable medical plant rediscovered by modern scientists is the aloe vera plant, often called the miracle plant because it is a natural healer. Early found in Egypt in 3500 BC, those recorded times were for therapeutic qualities, and as ancient Chinese and Indian records also show. Greek and Roman physicians knew of this great effect as well. Cleopatra herself considered it to be a beauty therapy. Over 200 species of aloe exist, but only 4 have medicinal purposes and properties. The aloe vera plant Barbadensis miller, which is what Mannatech's Manopole is based on, is the most potent. Modern medicine is rediscovering its ability to help heal issues in regard to wellness and the lack of the ability of the body to find new ways outside of its own immune system to coordinate the healing process, what we call modern allopathic medicine or drug therapy. So scientific evidence is building and confirms the effect of aloe vera on the immune system. Manopole is produced by Mannatech in Texas on their farms in Costa Rica. Manopole is the only nutraceutical raw material from aloe vera that contains a consistent and measurable amount of the complex carbohydrate called ace-mannan, naturally found in the flesh of the aloe gel. This unique powder that Manitech have contains ace-mannan, and it is also a dietary fibre whereby the complex range of carbohydrates as well as the fibre do amazing things in the digestion of the human body. Studies have shown that aloe vera is a mixture that includes polysaccharides, glycoproteins, amino acids, enzymes, vitamins, and minerals. You may have heard that some people might react to aloe vera. They might say they're allergic to it. In actual fact, it's not the mannose or the Manopole they're actually allergic to. It's all those other things that I've just quoted, glycoproteins, enzymes, and all those things trigger different reactions in different people. So it's very important to listen to people, but also to be aware that there is very, very few contraindications or real reasons why people may react to products. The size of the molecules determined, that's the molecules of the atom, that determine the healing properties and the richness of the specific sugars that research is demonstrating is the essential reason why these are part of our cell-to-cell communication. Studies are suggesting the action of these polysaccharides as having anti-inflammatory, antiviral, and immune modulating benefits. And that word modulation is extremely important. These products don't stimulate or upregulate or downregulate. What they do is they have the ability to allow our immune system to use its own inner code, that sugar contacting code, and it's able to help our bodies turn on and turn off. That's another reason why some people react or find that they get a benefit from taking the product earlier than other people, and also why some people find that different products in the range that Manitech have work better for them individually. So it goes down to how we communicate our story in our own experience, so that people can hear from us what our experience is, on top of the fact that Manitech has science behind it. So what's the rest of the reason why Manitech is so unique? Other than the fact that this cutting edge research continues right to this day, I've listed about 11 other things, and I'll just quickly go through them one to 11. So the first is that the company products are proprietary. That means that the ingredients, formula, and how each product is synergistically blended and labelled are owned by Mannatech. It's a publicly listed company on the NASDAQ stock exchange, and each product, as well as the manufacturing process technology, is also trademarked and patented protected. That on its own should be enough for people to say that this is a unique opportunity. The product is itself unique. Only you are the one that can actually connect your people or your person, your contact, to the opportunity that Manitech has for us to purchase a product through the company. 3, the products are highly consumable, meaning that you can order your products each month and you can vary your order each month. You can use the loyalty program to start taking products that you haven't used in your core recovery or your core reason to begin to take the Manitech product. The products, number 4, the products are accessible across all cultural boundaries. 5, the science of glycomics is well established, published, peer-reviewed, cutting edge, on trend, and in the current marketplace, it is also gluten-free and I think halal in almost all cases of the products that we have. 6, the supply chain, which is very important in our post-COVID era. The supply chain of stock levels is closely monitored, and the company is stable, 25 years now, and second in 2019 of the top 50 multi-level marketing global companies. 8, the Dallas headquarters boasts a working $25 million state-of-the-art laboratory and supports undergraduate research. I'll tap on that a bit later. 9, quality assurance is gold standard, meaning that every batch is tested and even random capsules from random bottles are actually extracted from the processing line, taken out, weighed, and actually analysed in every single capsule that they do randomly, so that there's no way that whatever is on the label is not actually what is inside the bottle. I'll also touch on that in regard to the Pan-Pacific issue that happened in 2003. Number 10, Manitech is a research and development company above and beyond anything else. It uses the multi-level marketing opportunity to distribute its products by allowing people to network and share the astounding wellness discovery that we have that's available for everyone. 11, the last one, it's 100% 90-day money-back guarantee. So I think that pretty well covers the uniqueness and specialness of what the Manitech products are for us.
Sorry. They put their money where their mouth is, don't they, Liz? It's
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the training continues as well.
And before we go to question 2, just quick addition. When you mentioned earlier about these being cellulose sugars, it's not the same as table sugar, is it?
Oh goodness, no.
Mm.
That is a difficult part of trying to explain. Unfortunately, from about the 1970s, as we all know, the fad of low-fat diet came in. Government started to regulate what advertising was available to the public. People were just sort of, spoon-fed what the information was. So table sugar became a big, big issue. So unfortunately, yes, the standard nutritional nutrients that we talk about previous were lipids or fats, proteins, which are made up of amino acids. You've also got the nucleic acids from DNA, RNA, but we now have this whole new area of glycomics, which talks about saccharides, which is the plant land name and the naturally occurring name for sugars. And pretty much the easiest way for people to explain what a saccharide is a plant-based sugar that allows the immune system and the strength and integrity of the fibre that holds a plant up and protects it in the land and soil from disease is what a polysaccharide and a plant saccharide does. So what Manitech have done is gone to that science, found that out of the 200 that exist biologically actively in nature, 8 to 11 are absolutely essential for cellular communication and integration into our own body through our gut, through eating it, so that our immune systems are given a tool to then do what the immune system is meant to do. Hopefully that clarifies what sugars are.
Not sweet at all. And you just have to taste Amber Toast, don't you? There's nothing
That's
sweet
right,
about
it's
that.
bland. I basically tell people it tastes like porridge, like just
Yeah,
oat.
it does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's gelatinous, and when you have a bit with liquid, it's a bit gluey, but it's absolutely, there's no bad taste, there's no bitterness, there's no sweetness. It's actually quite a neutral taste.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
it's good.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It fits in so many things. The other thing is that we wanted to touch on was, as a pharmacist, it's atypical for you to be looking at sort of integrative medicine or natural medicine. I know you had a personal life experience that caused you to research outside what was currently being used in medicine. Tell us about that. I think it's important.
Yeah, so obviously I've been a pharmacist for 35 years. So where having listened to my amazing connections with so much of the community over the years, what happened is I started to see more severe cases of ailments walking into the pharmacy. I saw younger people who had ailments. I saw the numbers of these people increasing over the years. I saw the number of complaints and the side effects from medications that were offered, ailments increasing. I saw an increase in the number of products coming to market. I saw an increase in the advertisements for products for sale. This is in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I saw the number of OTC or over-the-counter products showing up on grocery store shelves, available without counselling or education by a healthcare professional, whether it's a pharmacist or a naturopath or a nurse or anyone. So basically go to the shelf and have a look at something and self-educate, which can be scary. I saw the impact of fast food. I saw the availability from the 1970s. I saw the change in family lifestyle with increasing work hours and the introduction of weekend shopping. Remember that? Remember when the shops were shut on Saturdays? I saw gaps in child and teenagers, because family care from both parents wasn't available after school for these kids. Mum and dad were now both working, two-income families. Kids were left to their own devices, at home, the home was empty. The kid, the 5 or 6 or 7-year-old had the key to their door to get in. So the fridge was available to them, the pantry was available to them. So for me, as a community healthcare provider, this is what I saw. I saw the shift in prescribing habits expand from acute illness treatment, like short-term oral antibiotics, then the need for, companion products to deal with the side effects of medications from those like thrush, skin infections, gut and bowel dysfunction. I saw the advent of pain relief demands by parents so that the kids could go to daycare, mum and dad could go to work. go to school. You know, the grandparents and the extended family dynamics, you know, in a lot of Australian culture has diminished, has gone. The understanding that medications are not created or designed to cure illness at all, rather than the vast majority of cases are used now in chronic ailments, chronic illnesses. Therefore, what they do is they tend to just reduce symptoms, and that's the goal of the treatment. You know, drug info has become more prevalent over time, but I also came across a document, and I've got just the first page of it, and it's called Drug Nutrient Depletions. This became available with the explosion of over-the-counter vitamins and mineral supplements in the 1980s. I'll just hold that up. And if anyone does want this resource, I can make this available. It's a PDF available. So I'll just read you, because I came across this in the 80s, which is, again, one of the reasons why my mind is more open to nutrition than the average pharmacist. So this booklet provides information to help you learn depleted by your medications. People have no idea that. It also provides a general list of supplements that might be expected to interact with the drug positively, and thus the need to use supplements to enhance the activity of a medication, but also which nutrients are actually avoided in a lot of cases because they can interfere with the way the drug works. So, for example, and I'll just pick one here, it's called Aloe, which is not available in Australia, so I'm able to talk about it as a medication used for attention deficit in the United States. So the entry in this, and just so that you get an idea, it says that there are no known or reported drug-nutrient interactions in the scientific literature. So this is going to show people the depth and the quality of this resource. It says avoiding stimulant herbs, caffeine, maca, and possibly cayenne, which may increase the stimulant actions of this drug. Vitamin B6 may reduce the side effects of this drug, so that's a good thing to know. Magnesium can also increase the drug's efficacy, another good thing to know. But you should take that at least 1 hour away from the drug due to the concerns it may reduce the drug's absorption. Again, what happens when you swallow a drug or a tablet or Mannatech? When you've got food, or when you've got 3 or 4 other drugs, when you've got 3 or 4 other supplements that you're taking, it all interferes with each other. Acidic forms of vitamin C, not the buffered form, very specific, needs to be taken at least 1 hour away from this drug. Acidic fruit juices, cranberry, grapefruit, orange juice, or lemonade, and also reduce the drug's absorption and should be taken at least an hour away from the drug. So what I'm trying to demonstrate there is the depth of knowledge that is available, and this is something people now get. And this is why I am the way I am now, because of what I've learned along the way. So these depletions in our natural supplies of micronutrients are critical to the pharmacist's knowledge and to drug metabolism in the body, and how we read and interpret pathology and blood tests, liver function tests, kidney function, immune cell markers like natural killers, IgG, IgM, T cells, B cells, lymphocytes, neutrophils, interleukins, cholesterol levels, high density, low density, thyroid function. This is leading me into another reason why I became passionate about knowing about how to read the body's ability to heal itself. Normal blood values for blood tests have in fact been the subject of my own research over many years, noticing that pathology clinics and/or the companies behind them have norms seeded in increasing the number of population that fall into the tested reference list from doctors, who will then suggest that the new laboratory normal levels have now been lowered or raised, and therefore in doing so capturing greater numbers of patients who then are prescribed medications or other items to correct the patient's individual results. This was highlighted when I was actually at UWA and I was in the medical school, and I saw a textbook published in 1977, and I looked at what the accepted lab norms were from that book, 1977, and how they differ from today. And therefore my approach and my pharmacy career, the choices I've made, I've realised that I do have a strong, lively, wiry mental approach. And I do inquire. I inquire into solutions that are going to best support my customers or patients. And it never crossed my mind that best practice should be nothing but ethical. I was soon to experience, as you said, the full impact of a medical-induced lifetime disabling event that caused my 9-week-old baby to go down the path of needing permanent lifelong support. I learnt firsthand over those first 4 years of his life how to read immune system lab results and how to clearly see that all the constant antibiotics, nebulizers, medications prescribed, not just for him, but for anyone going down this path, that over time we lose ground, our body loses ground, it loses the time that we've got to heal ourselves. But the immune system itself, through that process of being treated, doesn't necessarily get healthier. In fact, what it does is it causes further problems affecting all of the physiology. It affects all of our nervous system, our brain function, our gut health, our muscle tone, our hearing, our vision, our sleep. It affects the way that we develop. It affects milestones that we reach from our childhood right through. It even affects the milestones that medicine uses to program our treatment plan for the future. In other words, a lot of cancer therapies are doing this sort of thing. Nothing that medically looked like a name or a known disorder is ever actually given to people in terms of a diagnosis. You just generally feel yuck, or you feel sick, or something happened and life changed. And this is what we're dealing with when we start to speak with people about how Manitech can help them. What we've got to do is listen very carefully to their story. So what caused me to review nutrition specifically is what my new keen interest in sourcing something that would support the immune system, as I hadn't learned this in undergrad, and that this was the basis of all the well-functioning systems that the body needed. I was after vibrancy, energy, a balanced wellness, quality of life, something that challenged me every day right through to the aging process, which is obviously facing all of us. One of the very first words I came across in a journal article about immunology was the term glycan, which means a compound consisting of a large number of monosaccharides, there's that word again, or plant sugars linked by glycosylation. And glycosylation is a process which uses cofactors and enzymes in our body naturally to make one step happen to chemically create the next step to happen, which is why we have our own metabolic state. Most people say that they might be high metabolizers or low metabolizers. So this is also related to the glycosylation of lipids and fats and proteins and amino acids. These structures were all discussed in a complete chapter of a textbook called Harper's Biochemistry, which is by far the most valuable resource that you can have when understanding why Mannatech products are critically valuable to us, and a reference that any doctor would have no way of ignoring this resource to read. New editions are published to date from a company called McGraw-Hill Lang. You can buy it on Amazon Australia. The 31st edition is actually out on the 14th of July this year. My copy as a student was the 26th edition. We're now up to the 31st. So yeah, get it online, and I'll just pop that up. This is the copy of the 27th edition. Wow. So again, Amazon Australia, and it's like $58. Cheap as. So that leads us into, how do we talk to doctors? I think that might be another question.
Yeah, and pharmacists, like how common is it for pharmacists, doctors, that are health professionals in our life have access to this kind of knowledge?
Look, pretty much it goes down to two things. We've got to separate the fact that doctors are sort of held in a system themselves. Their registration is governed nowadays very, very strictly. We have ARP, which is for allied health and medical registration. But in that, you also have people just like myself. I'm an individual, but I was also a pharmacist. It was my chosen profession. So there are also barriers to that individual healthcare doctor, nurse, pathologist, anyone that you speak to in your relationships and your partnerships as you go through, you know, picking up that phone to make an appointment to go and see someone to get help. So I want to talk about those two arms. So firstly, about why doctors are caught in the sickness industry. Sickness is basically a profitable business. Doctors are regulated by governments, who are regulated in the healthcare arena by the World Health Organization, who are sponsored and financially supported by pharmaceutical companies, who fund placements and numbers of university-bound medical and allied health students to pursue undergraduate courses of study, who then apply to hospitals for internships, who then populate research projects and clinical trials with hospitalised patients, who then are placed into drug trials, which are funded by pharmaceutical companies who receive endorsements and funding from foundations like Bill and Melinda Gates. You see the picture. So doctors are fearful of anything that is outside the realm of what they know and feel comfortable in. I want to, I'll carry on so I don't get sidetracked. Doctors are fearful of complementary supplement companies. And this is based on what happened in 2003. The Pan Pharmaceutical Company of Australia had their licence suspended by the TGA, which is a Therapeutic Goods Administration, which revealed serious deficiencies and deficits in the company's quality control procedures, leading to uncertainty about the safety and effectiveness of medications that they provided, identifying 219 manufactured products which were recalled and cancelled. They were cancelled from the register of the therapeutic goods. The Pan Pharmaceutical Company exported a range of 1,650 products in addition from its Sydney premises, and all of those in 2003 were cancelled. This company had safety and labelling problems with all their range of non-prescription products, other than one, which was an antidepressant. And so all Australians at that time were informed that no safety problems had been identified with prescription medicines available in Australia, and Australians were encouraged to continue to take their prescription medications. This single event has impacted the confidence of current medical doctors, centres, pharmacies and hospitals. The damage to the complementary health supplements will continue for generations to come. This is why doctors recommend against supplements other than what they hear from the medical profession. So another reason is, where do they get their information if they don't get it from the government or from undergrad courses or from books that they have on their shelves? It's a time factor as well. We now have the opportunity, which I'll touch on a bit later, of booking an appointment for a 5-minute, 10-minute or longer. And that's something that I really want people to remember, that it is in your hands to actually pick up the phone when you make your appointment to actually ask for a longer time slot. That Medicare, you may be charged that higher consult fee, but is that time valuable to you to talk to your doctor about these issues that you want to have? I also want to make sure that we know, but doctors don't know, that cumulatively there are over 20,000 plus articles that have been published and peer-reviewed on Medline, for example, since 1995 about glyconutrition. It would be appropriate, therefore, to suggest that medical staff and teaching schools, having been trained prior to the mid-1990s, can expect to be educated in this field only by reading current appropriate material. Be reminded, however, that practice costs and time restraints on medical professions leaves very little time to adequately acquaint themselves at any depth. It is up to the patient to direct their healthcarer to these resources if he or she wishes to entertain any degree of wellness support using glyconutrition in concert with the doctor's traditional plan. One of the most prestigious publications, along with the Lancet, describes current knowledge about glycobiology, and that is called the Science magazine, published in 2001, March edition, and I'll give you the exact volume of that in a minute. So also, to be clear, it is very reasonable to assume that any doctor or healthcare professional can acquaint themselves with science if they so choose to, or if they're passionate about it. You may be someone that goes to a doctor and opens up this channel of communication, but he may not continue or fulfill that with you. But even though you may not get the benefit of that conversation, Sharon did it, and I did it, and Gary did it, and Diane did it. And what's happening is all of us individually have the power to start to change how doctors hear from us, remembering that that consult is a dialogue. They give you their treatment plan, but you are also given the respect and should ask for the respect to be listened to. So for anyone wishing to validate this science for themselves, be it a patient, a carer, a doctor, the recommendation above anything else is not to wait for that to happen. The recommendation is to eat and swallow the glyconutrient. Start. It's a nutrition. It has ancient connections therapeutically through the Middle Ages, referenced, as I said, by Hebrews and Greek manuscripts. The father of pharmacology, Hippocrates, provided us with basic insights which teach, let food be your medicine and medicine your food. All synthetic medicine has an element of poison. The benefits of taking such chemicals are also dose dependent. A good sustenance is found in nature. It's called a diet, and it's called a menu. I call it a menu. It's not a dose, it's a menu. So you can change the menu of what's on your platter. You can change what you're going to have for dinner. You can change what you're going to have for breakfast. You can change the amount, the quantity. You can also change whether things are seasonal. A doctor's not going to say to you, oh, hang on, it's citrus season, so you better only take one a week. They don't say that. They wouldn't be so ridiculous to tell you that. So therefore, be brave, you know, be upfront with your own confidence and speak to your doctor as if you want them to be part of the partnership. You want them to learn from you, and you want them to be happy about the relationship that you want to develop with them. There are a few barriers, what I call barriers to health, and that's where doctors as an individual stand. The first one is fear. Doctors have a fear of change. Everyone has a fear of change in general. What it does is it changes the dynamics of things, and it causes resistance to change. That slows down inertia, and that's why I said earlier, swallow and start taking the tablets, the supplements, the powders. Ego is another big thing. You know, doctors say, I already know it all. Quietly, they don't do that, but I already know it all. Don't bother me, you know, with your facts. They also have a strange scenario where there's a fundamental belief that nothing can change. And even in this day and age, you know, a lot of people, a lot of us still, even if you're talking to people who are critically ill or very, very desperately unwell, they almost become cathartic about it and go, well, you know, I've tried everything, so why would this cause a change? Why would this cause a positive change? They also, doctors and individuals also have a denial about the reality of their current health situation. You know, some people use it to be victimised. They use it as a crutch. They like to be sick. Others say, no, that's never going to happen to me. No, it's just, you know, I won't have to deal with that. Laziness is another one. Usually arises out of unwillingness to take responsibility. And I guess this is where an individual doctor is someone that you need to speak to before you you commit directly to the healthcare plan. That go shop around, like listen to your friends, listen to families, read, research, go on reviews from medical clinics. They have reviews on medical clinics and doctors. Everyone's up for review, everyone. So, you know, we shouldn't put them on a pedestal because they are still us. The last one is that at the moment it's to do with blame. You know, we want to blame someone or a system. We want to blame something so that we become right, or so that detaches himself from the accountability of being an individual who's disseminating information he wants to share with you. You know, I'm sick because, or you're sick because, you know, you didn't take that blood test and it's now been 2 years and, you know, you haven't changed. So this is going to be, you know, ad infinitum. that's the human nature. So the choice is not to seek health freedom, because it's not about freedom. It's actually about ignorance. And that's not being pedantic. It's not casting doubt on anyone. It's actually a matter of the will. It's your will, and your will only cause the change. And that change starts with education, I guess, is what started all these questions from our little chat 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And so that's such good evidence. Really, each and every one listening to this now or into the future, you have a human right to work in partnership with your healthcare professionals, and you do need to dig deep and find the self-esteem to challenge the current norm, because you deserve better. We need to work in partnership and have our voice.
Yeah.
Now,
sorry, Sharon, just to finish off on that, just to put it in perspective for people as to why doctors don't access this information or don't have access to it. It's not always their fault. We have a council body in Australia called the NHMRC, which is the National Health and Medical Research Council, and it's Australia's peak body for supporting health and medical research. This is taken directly from the Australian Journal of Pharmacy, volume 94 in April 2014. I did some digging. Basically, since 2001, the NHMRC on average has allocated less than 0.2% of its budget to complementary medicine research. This is despite more than 70% of Australian adults regularly using natural supplements. So again, often doctors hear that this type of info news may or may not be available through their journal magazines. There is no prospect of patenting substances found in nature, we know. So research funding is a very high risk investment with no guarantee of financial rewards for people doing studies using natural supplements. So this translates to a lack of research. They say, show me the research. Well, we also, as Manitech, we can't claim that our food or our natural supplement will cure anything. So of course, doctors automatically, dismiss the valued science of what nature's wealth of nutrition is available to us. And that's just something that we need to be very conscious of. I'm trying to give you 2, 3 or 4 reasons why doctors currently may or may not know about this information.
Yeah, I've had firsthand experience in working with NHMRC, the health department, and APRA. They're draconian is the only way to describe them. Absolute dysfunctional and draconian. So we the people, we need to stand up, and thank goodness we can talk about this message, because it brings so much health and freedom.
Yes.
So a couple questions on taking them, practicalities, like do they have to worry about contraindication with medication?
Okay.
I know we've got a lot of products. That's a broad question.
I know. And actually, I'm not going to go into any of the individual products, because my caveat is to say that what's on the label is actually what is in the product. And what I'd encourage people to do is to actually go to a drug and look at the label, go to a nutritional supplement that you get a vitamin, a mineral from a health food shop, look at the label, and then look at the Mannatech product labels. And what you'll see is that our labeling does not give you milligram doses of micronutrients, because you can't possibly do that. And that is not what the body uses these supplements for. It's not what Manitech is for our body. Our body is not to take these supplements that Manitech have and make a shift based on what is in that bottle. What is in that bottle or that powder or that drink is what gives your body, the biology of your body, your immune system, the tools to then use the recipe of life and use that, assimilate that as you would assimilate your food. You're not going to say, I will prescribe myself 3 bananas today, or I will, my bowel motions weren't perfect, so I will prescribe we don't do that. So I'm not going to do that. So my advice here is to say that if you already take medications and or you are required to monitor levels of anything, sugars, urinary, situations that are existing treatments requiring regular monitoring or other tests, predominantly the main one would be a blood thinner. Those tests that you do weekly or anything up to monthly, those will cause a change based on your dietary intake, including supplements. It also changes if you begin an exercise regime, if you change your level of activity suddenly, or if you suddenly become very tired and you start sleeping, start a new job that involves night shift. I'm trying to put it in perspective. If you suddenly take on a fly-in, fly-out job, all of these things that within a month's time, so you look back and say, a month ago, what caused me to act appropriately to what happened in that last days, weeks, or month? These might affect your current treatment plan and your medications. So then, yes, it is essential that you keep taking and keep having the tests and keep seeing your doctor, whether or not you actually introduce the concept of nutritional technology to him. What I mean is that any of the product range, one or more of these can change your blood results quickly, and so action needs to happen within that month. Please be confident in understanding that the contraindications is not the supplements. It is the effect that it has positively on your metabolism and your immune system, so that the safest thing to do is to have your treatment adjusted. Don't adjust the dose of your supplement. Your doctor will then, now having registered your new test results, will then have to look at the dose, and he or she would have to make the change. And over time, that can happen with continued monitoring, whereby the space that you're looking at may be that that medication is actually taken off by your doctor permanently in the future, or the dose may be reduced permanently in the future. This will only work in your favour if you continue to add and keep taking your supplements. If you chop and change, you won't know, and you're going to just cause false positives, false negatives. Your doctor will lose confidence in what's going on. He won't know what's happening. So please do not stop taking your dose or your menu of supplements. Then, of course, your treatment goals will become clouded, and you'll be giving your doctor on a silver plate cause for concern. So that's very, very important. If, on the other hand, you are at a decision point where you know that you may end up on a treatment plan in the future, or that you may end up having to take a decisive step to add a product that is traditionally offered to you, you are in fact giving yourself more options of wellness by making the decision first to start educating yourself and taking these products yourself. You have already decided to give up smoking, perhaps. You've already decided to cut your fast food choices on a weekly basis. You may have already begun an exercise program, fun activity, riding a bike with your daughter, doing dance classes, yoga. All these added behaviours are the same as the behaviour of adding in the decision to take a supplement. And it is ridiculous to take a suggestion from a doctor, as I said earlier, who might prescribe for you to say that, you know, carrots are not in season at the moment, so don't take them. You know, broccoli is, so let's do that. We laugh about it, and it's ridiculous. So what we want to do is we want to have a balanced, nutritional, highly effective macro and micronutrient supply that is essential to good physiology and perfect to support our immune system to do what it was programmed to do. So in terms of contraindications, hopefully that has answered that question.
Fantastic.
Oh, hang on, sorry.
Sorry.
I keep doing this. There are two very rare circumstances other than the blood thinner one. Polysaccharidosis is a very rare genetic disorder, and I have come across one person in my time over the years where that person said that their child had polysaccharidosis and would Mannatech products help that child. And I was extremely careful in my suggestions. The other one, as I said earlier, is that people would say, well, I'm allergic to aloe vera. They're not actually allergic to mannose, the sugar in mannapole, or any of the other saccharides that are components in Ambrottose Life or advanced Ambrottose or classic Ambrottose or any of the other targeted products that we have. The allergy that they generally have is actually to do with the plant of the aloe vera itself, which I said earlier comes from the skin of the plant, the gel, the allantoin liquid, the numerous enzymes, the way that the aloe vera was harvested, the way it's been stored, the fact that it's in a bottle in a liquid that you buy for $4.99 from the grocery store. So just to clarify that, you know, those two are the only contraindications that people may come up against. Other than that, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food.
Well done, Liz. Thank you. And what if people often say, listen, I'm healthy, you know, why should I take these?
Yeah, so what if I'm not sick? Okay.
Yeah.
So again, just like I spoke a bit earlier about hindrances to health, freedom, fears, ego, ignorance, all of that, there's also a whole psyche around health freedom and who chooses health freedom, why we choose health freedom. Basically, what is health freedom? Health freedom is the experience of vitality, joy, a sense of security that comes from knowing that the choices that you make in life are not dictated by a health problem or accelerated aging. It gives you options in your life. Health freedom is a process, it's a journey, it's not a destination. Illness or a diagnosis is a destination, and that closes people's minds, it puts fear. The journey can provide a sense of adventure and accomplishment. You learn stuff, you can interact with people, you find a whole lot of new friends that you didn't know existed out there. The power of one, you know, is tremendous. Health freedom, though, is not a state of perfection. And in saying that, it is actually a state of empowerment. So it's a journey. So we nurture our body on a daily basis. As we persist with this, we gain pride in how well we're doing, how well we're taking care of ourselves. There are a few people that like to be victims, as I've said before. And I think there was one question that came through from a lady, and we'll get to it later, whereby, you know, you can do everything you can to educate someone about this, but it's just not the right time for them. You need to step back from people like that. You need to give them time and space. It's not your job, as I said earlier in the last conversation, it's not your responsibility to mend that person's time and space. So health freedom, though, doesn't mean that you are not going to become challenged in the future. We all have little accidents, we have illnesses, we have short-term coughs and colds. Therefore, it must include the acquisition of knowledge and resources, supplements, techniques as well. Allow yourself the time to learn about your illness or your disease. But if you're not sick, then why would you take them? There's another reason. The other reason is that we live in a stressful environment. We are all at the mercy of air pollution, water pollution, soil degradation, radiation, ultrasonic, agricultural farming practices, pesticides, toxins, drugs, teeth amalgams, even our clothing, synthetic fabrics, dry cleaning, detergents, fabric softeners, household cleaning products, plastics, polystyrene foam, food packaging, gases that they put in meat in the supply chain, fluorescent lighting in grocery store refrigeration units, display cabinetry, cosmetics, antiperspirants, hair colorants, gasoline, diesel, noise pollution, visual pollution, marketing and advertising billboards, TV, iPads, screen time, the list goes on. So we're not sick, are we? The supplementing is, like we said earlier, it's no longer a luxury. If you stand on a tightrope, you're going to fall. You know, if you don't actively and consciously back yourself to act, to stand still will only mean that you will fall eventually. So why wait for the negative impact? Why not be proactive and start, you know, preserving and giving your immune system the health and benefits that it's going to need as we age and as we continue to live, as we go off the grid totally. The toxic burden will impact each of us. We can't avoid it. It's insidious. It's an insidious wave which began the moment that we entered the world, unfortunately. We do have a choice to clear ourselves. We also have a choice that we must decide each day, what would we like to feel like? How would we like to cleanse ourselves? Leads us into a question that relates to, is it the cleansing crisis that people often
people
talk
sometimes
about?
have, yeah. Could you cover that?
I can definitely cover that. I actually have a very good document, and I, again, am able to share this. It was given by a medical director of Mannatech many years ago, and it is absolutely relevant to today. It's called The Correcting Crisis. I will read it, but I will also have it available if people want the printed form. So as you begin to eat the right combinations of foods and or your metabolic profile begins to change because of you supplementing your diet with Mannatech's health building products, positive changes begin to happen within your body. The ideal reaction is a gradual development of an increased sense of well-being. At first, you will notice, goodness, we're going to be over time. Is that going to be a problem?
Well, I think we've answered some of the next questions anyway, Liz. So just carry on with that one. That's good. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So basically what we want to do is we don't want to cause a toxic dump. So that will relate to how much of the product that we're going to use. The cleansing crisis should be a minority issue. It will only be a significant issue if people jump in too quickly, or if there are underlying health challenges that the person is unaware of. We also know that deficiencies exist in our bodies, so it's key to make sure that we recognise what a cleansing crisis looks like. It could look like a fever, a rash or hives, excessive gas, runny nose, headaches, insomnia, increased thirst, weakness, lethargy, lack of appetite, nausea, diarrhea, fever blisters, dry mouth, cold sores, constipation, dizziness, nervousness, body aches and pains, joints and muscles. It's extensive. It's an extensive list. And people think, oh my gosh, I'm really sick. So what can you do about it? What you need to do is make sure that people know that they need to drink a good amount of water. I think it's, what is it? It's roughly 1.8 to 2.4 litres per day for an adult. This is based on your body weight. This will help flush out the toxins and contribute to the natural cleansing of your kidneys. You should increase your fruits and vegetables and grains and cereals along with the supplements. You should not stop taking supplements. You may decrease the amount that you're taking, but do not stop them. You should include an increased amount of daily activity, walking. Just for 15 minutes is a good place to start. Exercise is really good to support detoxification. If the reaction is too strong for you to tolerate, that's where you reduce the supplements for a couple of days and then gradually build back up to the recommended amounts. This routine may need to be repeated depending on the depleted condition of your body and the amount of repair needed at the cellular level. I actually had a guy that had been on the products for 15 years and rang me and said, my knees are killing me. And I actually queried him, and what had happened was he used to be a football player. And, you know, the healing of his knees had never healed completely. So therefore, even after years and years of taking the supplements, some of his prior health challenges recurred. So again, people should be aware of that and don't be frightened about that. And you can actually go back in time and find out that people, you know, had an incompletely healed illness, and maybe often they were by a prescribed medication that, as we now know, not necessarily actually cure the illness or the problem. They simply mask symptoms. Yeah. So basically, the cleansing process is giving our own immune system respond, and this will be an ongoing and long-term scenario if you dump the supplements in very heavily.
Fantastic. And probably the most logical one next, if you don't mind if I jump ahead,
Yes.
is how do you help people determine how much and how long to take stuff? You know, like we're all different. We have, you know, same label or same goal in their health, whatever they want to achieve or overcome or enhance, can require different supplements and different amounts in different people.
Yeah, so basically how much and for how long do we need? So basically consider that most people's health conditions are sensitive. And that's where you should start in general, unless it's a critically ill scenario where you would start at what I call step 4. But step 1, and this is a little bit prescriptive, but it's based on having helped a heck of a lot of people over the years. So basically step 1, start them on AO, 1 twice a day, plus 3 a day, which is what's on the label, Catalyst just twice a day rather than the 4 a day. All of these products also have ambroxose in them anyway, so the best product that I find at the moment is Ambroxose Life, but just once a day. The step challenges the cleansing process and mobilises toxins, and often a lot of toxins are held in fat cells. So people that may be carrying a lot of fat cells may actually find that they detox and have a cleansing process more prevalent or more severely than people that are more lean. And this, what it does is by the introduction of this step 1, it helps the body to correct any existing health problems. The body over the first week will start to dispose of accumulated toxins. The results will continue and expand as the weeks go on. If the improvement is not significant, as I said, within a week or anywhere up to a month, and if the crisis is not urgent, that the cause of the problem is not an urgent problem for the person, recommendation step 2 is to double those amounts, AO plus Catalyst, and also I would add in GI Pro at that point. I often don't put it in right at the beginning. Step 3, again, if the results are not being attained, we get to a point where we triple the amounts, but what we're doing is we're actually only tripling Life and Plus. And I then add in Manipol. It's difficult, but bear with me. Step 4 is the last step whereby the maximum amount. So people say to me, I'm taking so much product, do I really need all that amount of product? It costs me a lot of money. There is actually a ceiling where your body will not accept and absorb more than what your cells can actually cope with. And that's based on the fact that we know that this is all to do with cell-to-cell communication. So if our cells are saturated, how do we know that they're saturated? Basically, anyone who takes 4 times the recommended amount of Life or twice the recommended amount of Manipol, takes more than 8 plus, more than 4 Catalyst for any length of time up to 6 months, there's either another underlying problem or there's another deficiency or another illness process happening. So they need to be investigated. So just by simply increasing after that first 6 months, you may actually be opening a rabbit hole. So that's not necessarily my recommendation. Children will always benefit from Manna Bears, and I also find Nutriveris and GI Pro is fantastic for children. The other thing to remember is that conditions accumulate over time, many, many years. And what I've found is that there's a bit of a link between every year that someone's had a problem, it will take roughly a month on 1, 2, or the core 4 or 5 to start to change the way that the immune system deals with that. So like food and eating, We don't eat once a day, and we don't eat for the first 5 years of our life. It's a lifelong process. We continue to eat strategically over the day, and we will continue to take our Manitech supplements strategically for the rest of our life. Yeah, so for those who still don't respond, as I said, there may be an obscurity that needs investigation. Remember that some people may not be truthful to you even about what they're taking and how much they're taking. And this can happen when people come back to you and say, look, I've said everything to this person. I've tried to help them in every possible way, but, you know, they're still not understanding, or they're still not accepting that these supplements are going to help them. You know, there may be a hidden agenda that the body is working on. As I said, the person might come to you with something that they want, you know, an ailment looked at, but the body itself is far more intelligent than we are, and we think we know what our problems are, but we don't. We just look and respond to what we're shown. So in terms of how much we take, that's a very good important thing. There's also another document which I can make available to people. This was, it's still relevant. It was from the website that we had prior to mannatechscience.org, and it talks about how long different cells have. I'll just quickly put it there. How long different cells in the body actually take to generate and repair. So different people will have different challenges, and that's very important in terms of how much they need to take. So that's, again, a good resource, and hopefully we can get this through to people. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry.
There you go.
My 10-year-old daughter just baked a cake and walks it in the middle of our call. And I think I just want to finish, Liz, because there's just more and more questions. So there's so much interest and interaction here, but we're not going to be able to cover everything. But we will provide those documents either in a link or in an email. Liz will send them to me. The final I think we should finish on is it's a difficult question, but it's so common. I think we have to touch on it specifically. I know you covered a lot of it in regards to medications, but often doctors who are having to prescribe things like chemo or radiation, or, you know, whether it's for abnormal growth or cells that are growing abnormally, or for autoimmunity type issues, they'll just give blanket advice: don't take any supplements. Now, as a pharmacist, can you say that there's any scientific foundation to that?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. And even the timing, as I said, going back to the thing, if people are already on a health journey, there's a strategy that I've sort of given. You know, your wellness journey will be based on what you want out of life yourself, and therefore anything that a doctor suggests is actually a suggestion. It's a plan. And to have a plan work, like we know in any other business model or work ethic, it has to be a two-way street. But if we give the doctor or the prescribing therapist the upper hand, so to speak, we are giving away our own respect for ourselves. So primarily, I think it's very important that people understand that these supplements are food. Obviously, if you go in and you start taking truckloads of anything, you're going to cause problems. And that's why I gave the strategy of step 1 through to step 4. I'm trying to give people the understanding as to why science is always validated by research, and why companies like Manitech have products available to us that are primarily designed to allow our own body in its own time to deal with any challenges that we have. So again, there is no contraindication in any immunotherapy or any models of chemo radiation. There's no need to wait for any course to finish. There's no need to wait and learn all about it before you even start. I know it sounds a little flippant, but I'm hoping that people have got to know me and know that my integrity is based on the passion that I have for giving people information that is available. It's just that maybe you and I, some of us have spent more time finding and digging that information. But please be very aware in the whole realm of immunotherapy that there is absolutely no need to stop taking anything. There's no need to stop the diet that you normally have, other than to improve and expand on what you take. And I guess the key at the end of it all is balance. You know, balance is very, very important. And therefore, by having a balanced approach and also by changing only one thing at a time, it then gives you an opportunity to assess what you've done and what caused a problem to be positive or negative. Some people might say, oh, you know, I tried it and it gave me diarrhea, so they don't take it at all. You find later in a conversation 2 or 3 months later down the track, when you revisit with them, they might say, oh, you know, well, when I was going through chemo, I had diarrhea every time I had that weekly, you know, whatever. So again, people are not doctors, and we're not, we should not be doctors either. Absolutely not. You know, that's not our job. Our job is to guide people and just share with them our own journey. What have we taken? Why did we decide to take it? You know, again, other than the core 5, I take Sport and Impact Plus every day because they're amazing products. Just like the other targeted products, you know, the fat loss is targeted for people relevant. So you find what's relevant to your situation. And I guess the bottom line is be kind to yourself, give yourself respect, and be kind to the person that you're communicating with, whether that's a friend or a newbie or a doctor. Be respectful, because I just think if you treat other people the way that you want to be treated and are given the time, and people need time because health is very volatile. It's a very volatile subject. I really think that we can make the world a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to be crystal clear, we're not saying don't listen to your doctor. I choose doctors I want to partner with, and I choose what information I share with them. If you think your doctor would want you to have the best possible diet while you're on whatever regime him or her is recommending for you, if you need medical intervention, then you can take these as being part of that advice of having the best possible diet available to you today. Is that this lifts our nutritional foundation. So Liz, I think we've covered everything.
Yeah. And also,
I think we missed one on mental health, but
yeah, I was also going to say, also, you know, people should, when they are in a doctor's appointment, you know, as I said earlier, book an extended consult, because you don't want to sit there listening for 10 minutes to them. You've got 10 minutes of your own work, haven't you? And don't overload them all in the very first appointment either. You know, be courteous to them and be respectful, and take one piece of information at a time, or learn about it so you can then verbalise it rather than putting a piece of paper in front of them or giving them a list of websites to go to. Just be courteous. And also let them know that, you know, hey, you know, your daughter's just come back to live at home with you, and, you know, home life's changed. Tell them that you've just joined a gym. Tell them all about your lifestyle. The only way they're going to learn about you is by you telling them everything that you want to tell them about your lifestyle. And therefore, we don't end up with these pinnacles of drug therapies spoken about only, or, you know, nutritional supplements are someone else. We need to have a balanced approach about our communication and education, as well as what we feed us.
So I think
thank you, everyone, and I'm going to really enjoy looking at all those chats. There's hundreds of them.
Yeah, we'll make sure that they're recorded and I can get them to you. So there's lots.
The very last one was, yes, about mental health. Might not be relevant to everyone, so if people want to leave the call, absolutely go for it. But I will just give kudos to that person that did ask that question, because it is respectful. So nutrition in mental health is more difficult, and it is measured also by behavioural clusters that the person responds to because of the stress and because of their life environment that they find themselves in. Nutritionally, a strong immune system is essential to support the brain and body as a whole. Ambrito's Life and Nutri-Vera seem to work well, and adjustments to amounts can be increased freely, especially when bouts or setbacks occur. Catalyst is essential because catalysts allow our body to coordinate enzymatic processes and use cofactors. AO is also very important because it obviously keeps the cleansing process happening on a daily basis. People that may take too much plus or may need to find that they're taking a lot of the plus product, which is a phytosterol, although there is a need for anywhere up to about 8, if you need any more than that, then you need to look at other things to include. And these are the specific things that are included for mental health and or bipolar or depression. So you need, in addition to Manitech, things like zinc, magnesium, B group vitamins, in particular B1 and B2. Again, going back to the fact that a lot of the medications drain and deplete these certain vitamins. Coenzyme Q10 at a dose of 100 milligram is an essential. Lipoic acid at 100 milligram is a good addition. Antioxidants, these antioxidants are specific because they cross the blood-brain barrier. People want to know why. Why coenzyme, why lipoic acid? They specifically cross, they get in the bloodstream and they get through into the brain. The brain is very fatty and a lot of nutrients don't penetrate and are not absorbed into the brain because of the high fat content of the brain grey matter and white matter. Melatonin at 2.5 milligram only at night, because sleep and insomnia is a very underlying worry for these type of people. They should avoid a component or a supplement called 5-HTP. They will know that. They should avoid St. John's wort and valerian. And the last one is, my research shows that ginkgo biloba may be beneficial. I know it's a bit prescriptive, but this is specifically addressing the people that ask questions about bipolar and mental health, knowing that our body as a whole, having a strong immune system, no matter what the disorder or ailment, we are not prescribing a cure or any way to mitigate a disease process. What we're doing is enhancing our quality of life. Thank you.
And as a pharmacist, you have the knowledge and criteria to, the credentials rather, to be able to do that research for us. And then people you have
I'm very happy and glad to have done that.
Yeah, thank you, Liz. So very generous with your time and knowledge and preparation for this. I know that you take our questions seriously. What would you like to leave people in their heart today, Liz?
The power of one, I guess. That's probably what's occurred to me as I've, done this research for this talk and further educated myself and revisited a lot of information that I've had for 20, 30 years. It's available. So I want to be a conduit, and I want each of us individually to be a conduit to develop those partnerships that you were talking about, Sharon. So the power of one, and I think solid, valuable partnerships are really important.
And I think, how much drive do you have in witnessing the transformation that helped in your family, particularly with Declan, and what that could have looked like without these nutrients, and how integral with that is in his quality of life today? And that's the family. It affects the whole family, doesn't it?
Oh, look, that's somewhere we don't really want to go. Look, Declan's 24 now, and yes, his journey is phenomenal. He lives independently from our home in a country town about an hour away on a farm. He has language acquisition. I'm obviously always at Mannatech events, so I'm really happy to chat to people about that. But as we say, we are not an island unto ourselves, and so whether it's ourself or our mother or our child or our neighbour, anyone, what hurts us in life is the breakdown of relationships and the breakdown because of ignorance and the lack of ability to understand that change for the good is only promoted by making a change happen. So I think I myself, my own health journey would have been absolutely completely different. My ability to function intellectually, emotionally, would have been a completely different tangent. So, and I'm not the only one speaking my heart. This, you know, everyone has a story, and it doesn't matter how difficult life is. That's your story and that's your life. So don't ever minimise it. Don't ever apologise for it. All you can do is be respectful and help others by giving them a taste of what you've gained on your Manitech journey. And that's the best way we can all move forward.
Yeah, exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, not everybody's ready for our knowledge, but you know, none of us have ever harmed a soul by inviting them to take a look. So, our voice in our hands, as Liz has just guided us. Thank you very much, Liz. There's so much gratitude for this. And next week will be business focused with Johanna, powerhouse woman, women in business. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for giving the extra time. Have a fabulous weekend. It's a reasonable hour for you now, Liz.
It is. The sun's up.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
See you, everybody. Thanks,
We'll
Liz.
talk again.
Bye.
Bye.